Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
By the way, Peter said he listens to this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
As in the podcast or live?
Yeah.
Oh.
He listens to the podcast.
Ooh.
I don't think anybody listens live.
All right, Peter. Well, since you're listening, it appears you're our biggest and only fan of the podcast, and we appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, this is episode 5 of JR Watches Star Trek for the first time. Did you think we'd get this far? This is astounding.
Yeah, it is, and
we're to our Lint anniversary.
What's even more fun to think about is how much we still have left if we really are going to attempt to get through all original seasons, movies, and Next Generation.
I was thinking after we do the Star Trek thing, because this all started because you used to hate Star Trek so much.
Yeah.
I'm thinking after we finish Star Trek, we may as well start from the beginning of Doctor Who and just go through all of Doctor Who.
And Blackadder or whatever.
And I say that because I've never seen a single episode of Doctor Who. That's as foreign to me as Star Trek was to you.
Doctor Who. Unfortunately.
And plus there are, I think, 4,000 episodes of it.
I am afraid I've seen at least a half of an episode of Doctor Who, and it was terrible. But anyway, moving on, because...
Should we say who we are?
Oh, yeah, okay. So, JR from Honolulu, and I used to hate Star Trek. So, that's me.
Yeah, you used to hate... I've always liked Star Trek. I'm John, and I'm in Salt Lake. Here we go. We're going to start... We're going to talk about the next 10 episodes of the second season of the original series, Star Trek. We're working our way through. Before we do that, though, I didn't tell you this before the show, but there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring up that have just been gnawing at me from the last few episodes we've done. Do you mind if I indulge myself?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, we were just talking about our buddy Pete, and our other buddy Jake. He sent me the weirdest email like a couple days ago, and he said, "Hey John, there's this episode of Star Trek called A Taste of Armageddon where there are these two planets and they're at war, and they just send each other their casualty reports, and they all go commit suicide. Doesn't that sound cool? Have you ever seen that episode before?" And I just, simply sent back a link of the episode where we discussed in great detail that episode. And of course my heart sank a little bit because, one of our best friends growing up really has no idea that we're doing this right now. So how would anybody else have any idea?
Just Maria, because she has to, since she's your girlfriend, and Peter because he's a nerd. So sorry, Peter.
Right. And of course, your family doesn't have to because they're too committed already, and so they're like, we do what we want, whatever. But my girlfriend, she still has to indulge me sometimes. But no. Thinking back on that Taste of Armageddon, do you remember we decided that it was gonna work out for that planet because they had to fight real war with real horror? And I was thinking about it. The way they were fighting was a lot more horrible than real war.
Oh.
Wouldn't you say so? Just where random people that growing up are just sentenced to die?
Yeah,
I would think they'd resolve that a lot faster than real war. With real war, you have revenge involved and fighting for your brother and everything. And there's probably more of a reason to fight a long-term fight with that one. If they fought for 100 years for this pointless thing, imagine how much more they'd fight for something that had a point. So I think Kirk just condemned those two planets to pretty much 100 more years of a pretty steady war, thinking about it. And I think it's because of the episodes we watched in this run that kind of made me think about that. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, for the fake war thing to actually really work, John, you'd have to have a populace that really bought into the idea, because seriously, if someone came to my house and said, your sector was hit today, but not really, so please go report to the kill yourself chamber. I mean, why is it everyone on this planet's going, well, there's my crummy luck, I guess I'll be there at 8. I think the majority of the population would probably be just like, screw this.
Like, first the drinking water fountain splashed me in the pants, and now this. I can't believe the day I'm having.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, that the people on that planet apparently have really, really bought into the idea, because I just can't imagine anyone just saying, well, I guess that's the way the dice roll. That's my turn. Doggone it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if it were here, it must be part of their alien physiology or something, because if it were here, there'd be a lot of protests.
Yeah, plus,
a lot of people just wouldn't get into that.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine saying to a bunch of troops, okay, hey, you guys got to go into combat today, and some of you probably aren't coming back, and that's crummy. But can you imagine going to someone and saying, hey, it's your turn to report to the annihilation chamber. It's crummy, but that's what you signed up for, buddy. I think that'd be much worse. So you may be right. I think their form of resolving their battles is probably significantly worse.
Yeah. Do you suppose that they take suicides into account, like that? Like that's a credit in that planet's favor?
So if some people just get depressed and kill themselves, and the next time a fake bomb lands, that's two less people that have to report. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that would be cool. That'd be nice. Anyway, we should have mentioned all of this when we talked about it before, but we didn't. We were incomplete. I just had to throw it out there again because it was brought up. So Jake, there's your more taste of Armageddon if you're listening to this right now.
That's right.
He lives like 3 miles away from me, and I never see him, but...
John,
I don't know. That's just what happens, I suppose.
Have you noticed anything about me, John, in the video?
You look frozen in the video.
That's possible, but what's most important? Oh, well, then you wouldn't know. Well, okay. Look at my frozen face, John, and have you noticed that I'm a little less rugged?
Did you shave?
I did. March is
You shaved your mustache?
March is over in my book, as of this morning.
Oh, that's too bad. How was it looking?
Oh, it was looking pretty good.
Okay, hey, you know what?
What?
The other thing I was going to discuss was, and I can't believe we forgot to talk about this, and maybe you missed it, because maybe this is one of the episodes that you didn't pay close attention to. But do you remember the episode The Changeling with the big floating robot?
Yeah.
Just floating around the Enterprise zapping people, and they're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But they finally stop it. Do you remember what it did to Uhura? It zapped her memory away.
That's right.
And you're like, oh my gosh, Uhura's memory is gone. And then, like, a couple scenes later, it flashes to Nurse Chapel teaching Uhura the ABCs, like teaching her how to read. Like, yeah, there you go, Uhura. You're doing so good. You're a beautiful, wonderful reader. The changeling robot thing never gave Uhura back her memory. So, how funny is it that between this episode and the next episode, Nurse Chapel pretty much had to teach her how to read and become the communications officer aboard the Enterprise all over again?
Yeah, it was at the end of that episode, I thought, I guess they can get away with that on TV, because I guess you're not supposed to know how much time is in between two episodes, but the fact that she really got screwed, she's got to relearn everything. Okay, so what episode are we on anyway?
Okay, well, I greatly apologize about that. That was just absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it was.
You know, this is turning into our best podcast ever. Okay, so what I was saying is I was in charge of the episode order last time, and for some reason I skipped to episode 11, Friday's Child, which neither of us seem to remember. I skipped right over episode 10, Journey to Babel, so we have to talk about episode 10 now, because we totally skipped it last time.
Okay. Let's see. Friday's Child, negotiating the mining treaty, the pregnant.
Yeah, don't worry about Friday's Child.
We already talked about that one.
Because we already talked about that one. If you remember, it was the highlight of last time when we both were like, what episode of this? I don't remember. Do you remember? No, I don't remember. Okay, well, podcast over.
Okay. All right, well, Journey to Babel. John,
Journey to Babel, which is supposed to be kind of a good one.
Well, I've got a rating of 9.0 here on the particular site I'm checking out. Now, let's see, Spock meets his estranged father when the Enterprise escorts a group of ambassadors to a conference on the planet Babel. Yeah, why don't I remember this episode at all?
It's not very... the big excitement of it is that Spock's dad is on. Who, incidentally, do you recognize who the actor is? Who Spock's dad is?
It's been several weeks since I saw the episode. Who was it?
Well, the guy is, let's see, what's his name? Mark Leonard. Or Mark Leonard. I don't know how to say his name. But he is the guy who played the Romulan commander in Balance of Terror.
Ah, okay. That's what I thought.
And so I guess that he's either like the best person they could find in LA to fit the Vulcan pointy ears, or they surgically put him under the knife and changed his ears to have Vulcan ears just for that one episode, and they're like, oh man, that would have been a really big waste of money. We better bring him back, and so they brought him back as another guy with pointy ears who happens to be Spock's dad.
Okay.
So, anyway, but that's what Journey to Babel is. The Enterprise is supposed to escort some ambassadors, and gosh, what is it? There's a guy killing people on board because he doesn't want the negotiations to take place, I think. Is that what you remember?
Yeah.
See, according to... This is just wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. It was a while ago that I watched it too. According to my little internet cheat sheet, it says the Enterprise hosts a number of quarreling diplomats, including Spock's father, but someone on board has murder in mind.
Crappy murder.
Okay, wow. I do remember there was an Andorian in it.
Okay.
Do you remember the Andorian? The blue-skinned guy with the antenna?
Oh, I guess it's here. This might be it. All the time I watched season 2, in every single episode, the end credits it showed. No. It was on one of the discs. One of the discs showed the freaky guy with the blue guy with the antennas, right?
Right.
And the season ended, and I thought, how come I never saw the episode with that guy in it? So this could explain why I don't remember a thing about this episode. Somehow I must have skipped this episode.
Yeah, one of those discs had the blue guy on it. And I think he was in 2 episodes. Well, I mean, the Andorians as a race were in 2 episodes, and they're really kind of not much about them.
Are the Andorians also that blue skin chick that was supposed to be like you can't resist that particular race of female? Was she an Andorian?
No. It was the green skin chick.
Oh, she was
who
green.
You couldn't resist, and that was in way early episode. But the blue skin guys, they're just... I think what sets them apart is they're unique in that they're the only aliens in the universe that don't look exactly like humans. And that's what makes them unique. And so I think maybe that's why they were a little bit untrustworthy in this particular episode, Journey to Babel. Although I don't remember who the killer was. I don't think it was one of them.
Well, John, here's what we're going to do. Since we obviously I didn't watch it at all, and you don't remember it. Let's just say that the killer actually was Spock's father. I'm certain of that, and he killed people with I don't know. I think he used Lieutenant Uhura as a weapon. Just picked her up and started smacking people with her. Right
in the middle of her retraining
That's right.
as the communications officer for the Enterprise.
Yeah, that patient misses her doctor or whatever chapel. Well, the good news is that I beat the computer at Stratego today. But okay, so where were we?
Wait, you have Stratego on your computer?
Yes, I do.
Is it free?
Okay, sorry, here, moving on. I can tell this is going to be one of those nights, so...
Can I salvage it just a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead and try.
All I remember about Journey to Babel, and I think this is why it's kind of popular, is it shows... It just gives a little bit of insight into Spock's life. It shows his mom for the first time.
Okay.
And it shows his relationship with his father, and even though that they're logical, it's kind of strained, and how Spock has a human side to him, and his mother kind of encourages him to be more human. And I think that's kind of the appeal to this particular episode. But once again, I forgot who the murderer is, which always happens with those, with like 1 or 2 every time. We're like, oh wait, how does it end again? I don't know. It was Star Trek. It was the 60s. No one remembers anything back then.
Moving on. Okay, the next one, if I got it correctly, is The Deadly Years.
Okay, good. We're on the same page. Yes, the Deadly Years. Do you remember that one?
Okay, they beam aboard another ship, right?
Yes.
And there's only one person there, correct? The commander, and
yes.
he had beamed his entire party down to the planet.
This is sounding a whole lot like the Doomsday Machine.
Okay, well, never mind then. Well, okay. It says a landing party infected with a disease that causes rapid aging and senility. I mean, I think I remember this. Go ahead.
Yeah, they go to the ship and then they go down to the planet, and they are told that they have a disease that will make them really old, and they can't go back up to the ship, or they'll infect. Oh wait, no, I'm getting that mixed up with a different one. Well, anyway, a bunch of people just get really old. That's what happens.
Dude. Oh man,
Kirk and McCoy and a bunch of people, they get really old, and you get to see, we get to hear McCoy do his southern codger, like, oh, he gets more and more southern doctor, and and the youngest member, she's the first to die of old age, and Kirk keeps giving the same commands over and over again, and he there's some kind of court martial with this one. And they're like, can Kirk be competent enough? And he's like, I am competent. I have my mind. And he just turns into a stubborn old man, even though it's obvious that he actually is pretty incompetent. Because he's got all the signs of just codgerism. And that's the Deadly Years.
That's the Deadly Years. Now, what was the... I'm starting to think that perhaps I missed an entire disc. Because... Journey to Babel, I definitely didn't see. Friday's Child doesn't sound familiar at all, but you said we already talked about that. Neither of us remembered it. The Deadly Years doesn't sound horribly familiar.
These are all on the same page for me. Did you miss that part of your Blockbuster? See, this is why I don't do Blockbuster online. They've wronged me so many times. Blockbuster is an organization. I think you should really complain about get your monies back.
But they wouldn't just put 3 episodes on one disc. It's always at least 4 episodes. And I know I saw Metamorphosis, and I know I saw Obsession.
Okay. You did see Obsession.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Yes, I did.
The Deadly Years wasn't too incredible great, although they mentioned the Corbomite maneuver in it. What happens is... Okay, I remember now for the Deadly Years. They're heading into the neutral zone, and the Romulans are going to destroy them. And Captain Kirk heals himself of the Deadly Years just in time. And one of the reasons that they want to bench Captain Kirk is because he tries to send a message back to Starfleet Command using what's called Code 2, which I guess relates back to like World War II, like code trafficking. They submit messages in subspace through code because the enemy can receive the message. And so they have special codes that they use, and Kirk tries to send something through Code 2, and Uhura corrects him. She's like, the Romulans they've cracked Code 2. If we submit it through Code 2, they'll understand it. And he goes, okay, sorry, do some other code then. And, that's when he's old and senile. But later, when they're just about to be killed by the Romulans, Kirk says... A young Kirk, who's healed by the end of the episode at this time, says, okay, Uhura, transmit a message, Code 2. She's like, Code 2, sir? And he goes, just do it. And so he sends the Corbomite maneuver through the cracked code and says, we are just about to be killed by the Romulans, and they're going to initiate our Corbomite, and it's going to destroy everything in this sector. And so, once again, Captain Kirk uses your favorite episode, the Corbomite maneuver, to outwit the enemy, and if I remember right, that's how the episode ends. Maybe it's good that you missed that one because you hate the Corbomite maneuver so bad.
Oh, but I didn't hate the Corbomite maneuver because of the idea of the Corbomite and the whole bluff. I just hated the terrible special effects and the little kid at the end. But anyway, John, you're gonna have to track down which disc from season 2 this is that I've missed, because I obviously need to go back and check these episodes out.
Okay, we'll have to do that. Maybe we'll have to do maybe we can skip a couple of these, because some of these are really good. Let's take a note of which ones we skipped. We'll talk about the Deadly Years later. Sure, no
Okay.
problem. We'll get your take on it. Now, do you remember Obsession at all?
Yes, absolutely. So they're at a planet, and something smells like honey.
Yes.
Kirk says, "Do you smell that? It smells like honey." And it's this big glowy thing that kills everybody. And Kirk, frankly, he's obsessed with killing this. And he's obsessed because, by golly, he encountered this when he was a lot younger, and he feels like if he hadn't hesitated, if he had shot earlier, he would have been able to kill it. And of course, he's got an officer, a brand new officer on his ship who's like the son of one of the people that was killed by this animal, right? And this kid, same thing. He like hesitates for just a moment, right? And so there's that. And then the other problem is you've got this creature on this planet that Kirk's obsessed with killing, but they also have this medicine that is like super overdue to a planet that desperately needs it, right?
Yeah, and I wrote this down. Why does the Enterprise... What? I get flustered whenever this happens because it says in the intro to the show that their whole purpose is to explore new worlds and seek out new life and civilizations. Why are they always on like a organ donor run? Like carrying livers in coolers or something. They're always doing something like that. Why can't they do anything, more exploring instead of just being, shuttle boys and errand boys for Starfleet? Every single time they have to do something else besides going and exploring.
Yep. It stinks real bad. But what can you do? So now I swear they get way past the point of no return for the medicine, but then in the end of the episode they're able to get it there on time anyway somehow. I don't know how that works out. But what we learn is that even if Kirk had fired on time, they couldn't have killed this thing, right? And I don't remember how they end up killing it, or do they at all?
They do. Okay. Reminder for next time. I need to write down how all these episodes end, because for some reason, it just the concept of the episode is what I come away with. I never remember how they resolve things. Is that just a problem that I have, or is it unique with the two of us? Because I don't remember how they kill it. I'm pretty sure they do, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to make for a really fascinating podcast to listen to.
We're so professional. You know what? I really like this episode, though. Do you want to know why?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Because
why?
One reason I kind of like Next Generation more... I mean, not Next Generation. The one reason I like original series more than Next Generation is because I always thought Picard was just a little too perfect. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Captain Kirk, he's perfect in that he's a ladies' man, and he always gets the seduction going on and all that. But I kind of like this episode because he kind of went nuts a little bit. He let his ego get away. Usually, his ego kind of helps the situation, but in this case, actually, I think toward the end, if he didn't have such an ego, they would have lost. But it kind of shows like just an unchecked ego, and it showed the ill effects of his actions on the crew and stuff like that, and I kind of liked that kind of a little bit more human side of Captain Kirk. He wasn't all powerful and he wasn't all wise and stoic like he always knew what to do, but him going a little nuts was kind of cool to see, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's nice to see that he's prone to human weaknesses like the rest of us, Jonathan, on occasion.
It's nice to see. I also wrote down that I kind of thought the thing they were fighting was the lost smoke monster.
Whatever it is, it smells like delicious honey.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Anyway, that was Obsession. That was I liked it. What did you think of that one? Besides the not knowing how they killed the monster, what did you think of that one?
I wonder now if they even did, or if Kirk was just able to relinquish his obsession and move on.
No, he didn't.
I don't know.
Because I remember thinking that that's how it should have ended, but it didn't. I think they did get the monster somehow because they thought it might be gearing up to attack another part of the sector or something like that.
Okay. Pretty good episode. I think I like the next one better.
Okay. What is it, Wolf in the Fold?
Wolf in the Fold, yes. I do. So here we go, Wolf in the Fold, and what it is Scotty has has had a major head injury or something, and it had something to do with a woman. So apparently, he's like he's supposed to hate women or something. I don't know, but so what do? They take him
I didn't get that.
Anytime you have trouble with women, a guy's got trouble with women, you just take him to a go-go dancing joint or whatever.
They implied that it was a woman who threw him against the bulkhead and hit his head. Was that in a previous episode? Like were they talking about that? Or?
No, I don't.
Or was he?
I don't think so.
Did he just get liquored up and just advanced on one of the crew women and she just spurned his advances, knocked him in the head, and he gets shore leave and she gets put in the brig?
I don't know. So my impression was that he received his injuries at the hand of a woman or something, and so anyway, so he's on this planet. So Kirk plays matchmaker and hooks him up with a dancing girl, and he takes the dancing girl home. And we find them later in the alley, and she's been brutally stabbed, and he has the knife in his hand, but he doesn't remember anything. So that's kind of crummy.
Right.
Super duper crummy.
And so he's put on trial, and during the course of the trial, they're under the name of the place is Argelia, I think. And so they're under Argelian law, and they're like, okay, well, we can't interfere, we're subject to their laws. And I don't know about you, but I found the Argelian laws very, 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 very lenient to people who are suspected of murder, because Scotty's put in like 5 different situations where he's right next to a woman, and it seems pretty obvious that he stabs the woman to death.
Yeah.
They don't put him under any kind of house arrest or anything. They're like, okay, well, you're free to go during this trial. And in the course of that, it really seems like he kills like 5 more chicks. It's kind of like Mars attacks when the Martians come, they start killing people, and they say, oh, it was just a misunderstanding, and so they set another place to meet them, and then they just start killing people again.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, it was a misunderstanding, and then they start killing more people.
Yeah.
It seemed really a lot like that.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I can't remember. How do they end up explaining his blackouts? I don't remember how they explain his blackouts.
I think either who was it? It's Landru that is actually the actual killer that can take any shape.
Well, no, what they come up with is it's this whatever it is. It inhabited Jack the Ripper, right? Isn't that the conclusion they reach?
Wait a second, Landru. Yeah. That's not the computer in.
No, Landru's the Archons.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
okay, I forgot. It's Red Jack. Red Jack is the name of the guy.
Okay, so
isn't it?
Yeah, but it's this thing that has kind of inhabited him. I mean, it's not him. He's been inhabited by this thing, and they decide it's the same thing that inhabited Jack the Ripper, which is why he was never discovered, because it left whatever body it was using, and it's moved on, and it hates women and loves to murder women, and can you blame it? And so what do? They in the course of the trial, it comes out of one guy and it goes into another guy, and I can't remember what they end up doing to it. How does it resolve, John?
They find out it's the other lawyer guy, don't they?
Yeah.
And then they just shoot him. Don't they just shoot him?
But I thought the substance jumps from him to someone else during the trial, doesn't it? Or when they discover it's him? I can't remember. You tell me, John. You're the expert at how all these episodes resolve.
When did we decide that? Because I think we determined that both of us suck at it really, really bad.
Okay, well, the point is Scotty didn't do it, but it is interesting that even back then, in the 60s, they were linking serious head trauma to increases in violent behavior, there's a lot of study about the possibility of that, so who knows. But Scotty...
So wait, is that true?
Yes.
If you get hit in the head, there's more... You might be violent?
It's a possibility. I don't know.
Is it because you're just trying to get back? You're getting revenge at what hit you in the head?
No, I think it had
You trying to get revenge on Earth? Like if you fall and hit your head on the ground, would you get revenge on everybody kind of thing?
No, I don't think so. I've just read a couple cases of well, I read one case anyway of a Marine who ended up being a serial killer, and he had a major head injury. But before the injury, nicest guy in the world. After the injury, isolated himself and became ultra violent, and of course killed a handful of people. So. Anyway, but the point is that Scotty didn't do it, and his blackouts were because of something, and the good guys won. And maybe Scotty likes girls again. I don't know.
It was pretty exciting. It was good to see a Scotty episode, even though he wasn't portrayed in the best light. He was pretty much he was like hit in the head and worthless, and it really seemed like he killed a lot of people, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Whoa, sorry. My computer just talked to me. Okay. Anyway, that was Wolf in the Fold. Also notice they did a little bit of futurism because, according to this episode, in 1974, there were some women knifed in Kiev, and then and then shortly after that, there were some knifings in Mars, and so they kind of set out a pattern for this guy who was killing women.
Yeah. Computer, tell me a joke. Ooh, it did it. Anyway.
Did it do it?
Computer, knock knock who? Is that how you say it? Yeah, well.
Did you get your computer to do that?
Yeah, it's not very good though. All right, so moving on to the trouble with tribbles, and this is an interesting episode because it's tribbles that spurred this entire enterprise of ours, John.
Did it? Was it really? Why?
Yes, your silly post with your Halloween costume.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You said, does anyone know what this is? And I put, John, if I knew what that was, I'd kill myself.
I forgot. Yeah, we talked about our first episode. Yeah. Hey, is your Ustream up?
No, yours was down, so I dropped mine too.
Oh, dang.
Do you want it back up?
Because I have. Look what I have here.
Oh,
do you hear that?
Well, you weren't broadcasting, but let's see. I'll go back.
I thought I was broadcasting.
Oh, well, you weren't. Let's see. All right, I'm about to check out your little tribble. Ooh, it's even making tribble noises.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're echoing.
Pretty nice, huh? Pretty nice, huh? And unfortunately, this tribble that I picked this up in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Next time we get together, we need to go to the Hilton in Vegas because, they have the Star Trek experience down there. Anyway, this stupid tribble, I gave it a few wheat thins to eat, but unfortunately it didn't multiply. It makes me sad. I think it's nervous because I think one of the mice in the house violated it and just hasn't been the same. So,
well.
So I was hoping to get a bunch of tribbles and sell them, but alas, it is a cute little guy though. It's freaks people out when they touch it and it tribbles at them or whatever.
All right. So anyway, moving on with this silly episode. So they go down this planet, and the Klingons are there, and the Enterprise is there to protect a grain shipment. And the Klingons, by golly, they want that grain shipment destroyed because if they can destroy the grain shipment, then what? I can't remember.
Then, the Klingon. Well, it's just, the Klingons hate us, and so they want to destroy the grain that would go to planets.
To do with being able to control the planet, though. If the grain shipment gets destroyed, I can't remember. Anyway, one of the Klingons, John, is also the Squire.
Yes, the Squire of Gothos is far less annoying as a Klingon, but you can definitely tell it's the Squire of Gothos.
Yeah, there's no mistaking it. So, and let's see. So you've got the leaders of this planet, the leader of this planet who wants the grain protected, and he's got kind of a toady, and that toady, well, we'll see what. Yeah, it's no good. Anyway, so is it Uhura who goes down there and she finds a tribble and she buys one, and because they're so darn cute, they're darn cute, but they multiplied like mad.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. And while the tribbles are multiplying, Scotty gets in a big bar fight with a bunch of Klingons. And that's got nothing to do with the tribbles, but it happened.
Nope.
So, so what happens is the tribbles are just going crazy. They multiply all over the ship as well. And
you get a lot of a lot of sound cues, music cues that go blum blum dun 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 dun.
There are a lot of those, yeah. And of course now they go down to the planet to check the grain supply, and Kirk opens up the bins and no grain comes out, John, but about 3 million tribbles spill out, and by golly, if Kirk doesn't look silly, all those tribbles spilling all over the place.
Yeah, he kind of looks around with kind of a smirk on his face, kind of similar to what Johnny Carson looked like when the animal trainer came on, and like a bird would be perched on Johnny Carson's shoulder and would just pee on him, and he'd just look around. They made fun of that on Saturday Night Live anyway. I always thought that was funny, but this episode, well, we all know the trouble with tribbles. It's just these cute little things that just get in the way. It's just kind of Star Trek comic relief. But the point of the tribbles is that they use them to discover that there is a Klingon in disguise, and that is the toady of what's-his-name, which is, very convenient, because in the original Star Trek, Klingons, just like everybody else, every other alien in the universe, besides Andorians, and Vulcans to a lesser extent, look exactly like human beings, and so it's pretty easy for a Klingon to just be a human. It pretty much came down to what they were wearing. Yeah,
that's the case. Now, how did they discover that it's the toady that turns out to be a traitor to the cause? Now, how do they discover it? How do they figure it out?
Because tribbles hate Klingons.
That's right.
And they kind of growl a little bit at Klingons, and Klingons don't like tribbles.
That's right. Okay. And, of course, there's the guy who's selling the tribbles, and what does Captain Kirk do? Captain Kirk says you can either go to prison for the rest of your life, or you can pick up every single tribble, and I think they said that by the calculations of the computer, it would take 13 years to pick up every single tribble. Something like that. I mean, it was like an insane amount of time to clean up all the tribbles, and
ridiculous amount of time. Like, how big could the space station possibly be?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, wouldn't it just be the amount of time it would take to walk through the space station? Like every square inch of the space station? So it pretty much would take 13 years for him to walk through the whole station. Yeah, plus, in the meantime, those tribbles would be multiplying. Maybe that's what they were taking into account, because the tribbles would be multiplying during that time. And so he'd always be one step behind the tribbles.
Yeah, well, he's got his work cut out for him.
And do you remember what happened to the tribbles on the Enterprise?
I don't know. Tribble soup. I don't know.
Close. Very close. Scotty beams them off the ship, and Kirk is like, oh, it'd be inhumane to just beam them out into space. And he goes, no, I beamed them onto the Klingon ship. And so they just beamed onto the Klingon ship to meet a fate probably far worse than just being beamed into space. But they all have a laugh about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
that was supposed to be a humorous episode. I think that was vintage Star Trek comedy episode.
Yep. It was pretty comedic, and I think it's kind of unfortunate that this episode is what started this whole thing, because I've never really been that much of a fan of Trouble with Tribbles. It is kind of cute, but it's not. I don't know. It's not cute enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sorry. It's Tribbles are kind of like the Paris Hilton, not nearly attractive enough to get away with what she's trying to sell.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, sure, I like that.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know what the world sees in that girl. She's not nearly cute enough to get away with how stupid she is, and her complete lack of talent. Anyway, that's something else. So there's that. There's the Tribbles. All right, so the next one's pretty good. The Gamesters of Triskelion.
Is it Triskelion? Is that how they pronounce it? Triskelion?
Yes, and so they all beam aboard this island, which looks a lot like a lot of the other islands they beam aboard, and apparently there's only...
Well, you just said island twice.
Yeah, the you know what I mean. All these islands in the giant sea of space. So on this planet, and apparently the planet only has 20 square feet on it, because that's all you ever see. But they're immediately forced to
Maybe you were
battle.
right to say island then.
Yeah, they're immediately forced to battle as gladiators, and of course Kirk becomes a pretty good gladiator, right? And they also they're given trainers, but the Kirk's trainer is this really hot female. My wife really liked this episode, by the way, and yeah, and so what? I guess they become gladiators, but then they get down to where Kirk has to defeat 3 of them, and he actually kills one of them. He kills the big giant guy, right? Big spear to the chest.
Yeah, he did a really good job with that.
Yeah, and then now he ends up having to fight the girl that was supposed to be his trainer and / breeder.
His trainer / breeder, who asks him, Kirk, what is love?
So I guess it had been 2 or 3 episodes since Kirk had to educate an alien about love. So
the stuff between him and that Amazon woman was really good, because I think the first time he kisses her, she's like, she says, "Is this helping? Am I helping you?" And he goes, "Oh, you can call it that." And then she goes, "Will you like me to help again?" or something like that, which is just a lot like a lot of other episodes when Kirk teaches the women how to love.
Yeah. He kind of takes advantage of the process, doesn't he? All right. So now, how does the fight end up resolving itself? I mean, he obviously doesn't kill her.
Yeah, he doesn't. I think it resolves itself kind of like that Flash Gordon and Voltan fight, where he spares her, and then it inspires the other thralls to do the same.
Yeah. Now, when he confronts the beings that are watching them gamble, what are they? Aren't they like... they're like computers, but not really? I can't remember.
Weren't they brains in jars?
Brains in jars. Maybe? You sure they were brains in jars, or was that another episode?
I think they were brains in jars.
Okay, brains in jars. I think you're right, too. Alrighty. Brains in jars.
I need to have a Star Trek site up for every single episode so I can get some visuals on here. But, yeah, what I love about this episode is the very beginning, when they beam down to that place.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, it's Kirk and it's Uhura and it's Chekhov, I think, are the 3 people who pretty much become gladiators, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they first beam down, they're for some reason they fight 4 thralls, and Kirk fights one. Kirk fights the giant, I think, and then Chekhov fights one, and then poor Uhura, they have her fight 2 women at once. And I don't know if it was. This might be the 60s again, but I think they were thinking, oh my gosh, let's have Uhura fight 2 women at once. It'll be so hot.
There's always a chance they might kiss.
But she was holding her own for a little while, but I don't know why they made her do that.
You know, I mean, I'm sure the audience of the show was primarily male, so watching three girls fight, so.
This episode is the other one that had an Andorian in it. One of the people Kirk fights. He fights the giant, and he fights his girlfriend, and he fights that blue-skinned Andorian.
This isn't the one where he's a gladiator and he's put on television, is it?
No, that was... Aren't you thinking of Arena, where he fights the Gorn, and the Enterprise can see what he's doing?
No, but it must be another episode. There's an episode where, like, the whole planet has... we'll get to it. I know it's another episode. It's definitely another episode. So
okay.
We'll get to that. All right. So there's that. Let's see. So there's that. That episode was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good.
I kind of liked it. I like how the gamesters, they use currency. They like bet on all the thrall fights, and if you notice, they say Quatlus. That's the currency that they use. I think there was an episode in Simpsons where Mr. Burns and Smithers like go to their like deep underground, and members of the nuclear plant are fighting each other, and Smithers says to someone, I bid 20 Quatlus on Homer, or something like that. I'll have to find that one, but I do know they mention it. And of course, they have the Amok Time fight song. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, we're back. We forgot. You lost track of your recording there, huh? We
Yeah, but
missed
it's not...
little bit of immunity syndrome, possibly.
Well, yeah, the last thing I heard on my own recording was me laughing and agreeing to whatever it was you were saying. So I know that we got finished discussing the fact that it was the whole what do you call it? That movie we missed, Independence Day.
Independence Day.
So
right.
we got past
well,
that.
Personally, I think you laughing and agreeing to what I have to say is pretty much how we should end every episode.
Okay,
recap.
so well then that does it for the immunity syndrome. That was some
Yeah,
episode.
we'll listen to it. We might have to recap that next time because we're running out of time.
Best episode ever where they've had to attack a giant amoeba in space so far. So
I know, so good. Out of all those episodes, that was by far the best giant amoeba episode.
yeah.
Even better than Operation Annihilate, where they battled several amoebas.
Now, John, I got to admit that even though all of this is facilitated by our Mac computers and Apple iTunes and podcasting and happiness, it's the Apple GarageBand program that is giving us so much headaches because it has a time limit for how much it'll record.
Right. I don't know. Maybe we can... I wonder if there's a weird adjustment on that. Because as much as I like GarageBand, I think it's very... it's... Gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just very user unfriendly. It's
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? It's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
The programming is a little bit counterintuitive on it. I wonder if maybe we can adjust that.
Okay.
But iTunes, blah. Or not iTunes, GarageBand, blah.
GarageBand. It works pretty well for mixing songs and stuff. But anyway, limitations. So we'll fix it. All right. So favorite episode of this session? I'm thinking. So you tell me.
Okay. I probably my top two thus far are Obsession. I told you I liked Obsession because I like seeing that other side of Kirk. I thought it was kind of groovy. And maybe Gamesters of Triskelion. You know, you got the Uhura fighting two chicks. You got them, you know, just doing a lot of fighting. You got Kirk teaching about love. You got Brains in Jars. I thought that one had it all, even though IMDb users didn't really particularly like it too much.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Wolf in the Fold because anytime you have an episode based around Scotty, it's good, and he deserves it occasionally. And oddly enough, I'm probably going to have to choose the Immunity Syndrome.
Really?
Yeah. Heck,
Now, I don't know... Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, they get to fight a giant egg in space, and they beat it, by golly, by making it sick, and of course we get to see the whole dynamic between Spock and Scotty, and there's an episode later on where Kirk says that he's not sure if Scotty and Spock are joking with each other or if there's really dislike there.
You mean Bones and Spock?
Yes, that's what I meant. Bones and Spock.
Yeah.
They themselves are not even sure if it's good-natured teasing or if there's really some dislike there. But this is one of those episodes where that dynamic between the two of them is really brought out, and of course Scotty has a chance to say some. You think that it's kind of rare that Scotty admits respect, admiration, feelings.
You
for
mean
Spock,
McCoy, right?
Yes, McCoy. But it turns out that it's like every other episode that he does that now. So
that's true.
But anyway,
that's true.
That was pretty good. Immunity Syndrome and what was the first one I said?
I think you said Wolf in the Fold.
Yeah, Wolf in the Fold. That was a groovy episode.
Yeah, no, two pretty good ones. You like your Scotty, and you like your Bones and Spock dynamic. I like my gladiatorial combat, and and also I like my what else did I say? Oh, I'd like my just pure Kirk ego. It's how I like my Star Trek. So we kind of diverged on this one. Just for your information, IMDb users gave Immunity Syndrome a 7.4 out of 10. And what was the other one you said? Wolf in the Fold at 7.7. So pretty, fairly good scores. Me, on the other hand, Gamesters of Triskelion got a 6.9, which is kind of low, I guess. And Obsession a 7.2. So my scores are a little lower. So I don't know if that makes me... Actually, I think that makes you geekier than me. I like the Star Trek episodes that nobody likes. That's what I have to say. But the ones that scored really high are actually Journey to Babel at 8.4.
See, but
so
who knows?
Maybe we should have taken that one a little bit more seriously.
Maybe I should have watched it.
And The Trouble with Tribbles got an 8.9.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I guess it's just the one that everybody's seen. It's just once again just iconic like so many others. And anyway, just a little interesting. I think we had a mid-season slump this time.
Yeah,
we'll be a little bit more focused when we wrap this season up, because season 2 is considered the best season of the original series. So, we owed a few more props. Sorry, season 2. Sorry we weren't a little bit more up on it this time, but what can we do?
Hey, you know what, John? Seriously, if you can find out which disc of season 2 those episodes are on that I missed, I'll throw it at the top of my queue, and maybe we can recap them a little bit next time. We only have 8 episodes to cover next time, so.
Okay, yeah. Maybe we could do a do-over on this podcast. Can we call it do-over? Well, I mean, not literally do-over, like the whole thing over, but just kind of, just call it do-over.
Sure. We'll call it a do-over.
We'll call it a do-over.
Okay.
But no, it's been fun as usual, so.
Yeah.
So good times.
Yep, yeah, it has. So once again, this is JR from Hawaii.
And this is John in Salt Lake City. I guess,
thanks for listening to us ramble. Yeah, ramble on about Star Trek and the episodes we watched and the episodes that we didn't watch, so.
Yeah, and thanks for listening to us ramble the end of this particular podcast, which we are doing right now as we speak.
Yep. Alrighty.
Okay. So long, bye.
Bye. John, why did the spider play so good at baseball?
I don't know. Why did the spider play so good at baseball?
Because he was really good at catching flies.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, no, that was terrible, but let's do another one since I've had a second to think about it. What is the difference between Peter Ivy and a pickle?
I don't know.
I messed up that joke. What do Peter Ivy and a pickle have in common? Let's try it that way.
Oh, yeah, that's how it works. I don't know what.
They're both green, except for Peter. He's not green, just the pickle.
But he is on Thursdays.
Yeah, okay. Alrighty. Well, that was 2.5 really bad jokes.